That's just about perfect.
I'm Lenora Dombrow. I'm the East Zone wildlife biologist for the Custer Gallatin National Forest, so I cover the Ashland and the Sioux districts. And tonight we are on the Sioux district in the Slim Buttes unit, looking for different bat species. So right now we are out trying to catalog the variety of species and kind of get an index for the number of species that are out here. We haven't done too many capture surveys for the units over on the east side of the state, so we're trying to learn a little bit more. And this is especially important right now because white nose syndrome is moving across the country. Right now it's in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming, so it's getting ever closer to where we are currently. And so we kind of want to get an idea of what species are out here and how many there are, and better understand the population before it's impacted by this disease.
My name is Dan Bach, and I'm the senior zoologist for the Montana Natural Heritage Program. So we're a state agency over in Montana, and we're primarily responsible for cataloging data on wildlife species, on plant species, on ecosystems across the state. And we're doing bat inventory work. So, we have this threat to many of our bat species called white nose syndrome. So that's has the potential to drastically reduce, if not cause the extirpation of some species within our area. So we're really trying to learn as much as possible about these animals before this disease impacts them. And then hopefully that information will be valuable for recovering the species if we can find a way to do that, or at the very least, protecting their habitats and the species themselves. Grams total weight. Next thing here, we are going to take a look at the bat and see if we can figure out the species. In this case, this is a big brown bat. This species is one of our larger bats, and one of the things that we can separate it from is not only using size to separate it from the myotis bats, such as little brown and other species, but also by this dog-like kind of face muzzle. It's characteristic. These animals can range anywhere from light blonde to almost dark brown. Kind of southeast Montana, and maybe extending over to here, has a number of species, or the potential for a number of species, and is one of the more diverse areas across the whole region. So, we do know that there are a lot of species present. We think that there may be some additional species present. We have pallid bats, for instance, over in the Ashland area. We don't know how far east they extend, but we find them in areas with sandstone, with ponderous pine, similar in some ways to these more isolated forest units. Working, with Lenora and other folks who have these administrative units that overlap, North or South Dakota or Idaho, is really helpful to us, because the more information we have in these areas, close to the border, that helps us understand more about the species within the states. We also don't really understand well if the northern long-eared bat is here. It certainly has the potential to be. It's down in the Black Hills. I've done a lot of work in collaboration with the Forest Service, with Fish and Wildlife Service, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, trying to figure out where they are in Montana. To date, we found how all of our captures and detections are associated with major river drainages up in kind of north central, northeastern Montana. So, they're definitely in this area. We don't know for sure, though, if they're using these areas or if maybe they're more confined to the Missouri River drainage to our east. So, this type of work, is really, establishing a baseline for what species are here, and really complements some of the acoustic work we've done. So what this software is doing is, this is an ultrasonic microphone, but it picks up the bats, echolocation calls, uses a process to lower those so we can hear it. That's the noise you hear in the background. But you can see this hockey stick shaped here. It's displaying the frequency over time. And so what they do is they use something called, in the case of some species, an FM sweep, or a frequency modulated sweep. So each different frequency, like how high they're echolocating at, actually allows them to resolve different attributes. So you can see we have a bat actually right over the top of us right now. So they sweep through a number of different frequencies to be able to learn more about their environment. So a lot of our little bats forage on smaller insects like mosquitoes. They have a really high sweep to their call, so it's more like a hockey stick. Some of our larger bats, like a hoary bat here, that call sequence has a little bit of a sweep, but it's mostly kind of flat. And they're flying over large open spaces looking for moths or beetles or other large prey items. So they don't need to be as detailed, but lower sound travels further, so they can resolve prey at longer distances. So you can actually learn a lot about the life history of the individual species by the shape of their calls. So now we've got all of our data recorded and we can let her go. So. Okay, and one more thing. Bats are
really cool.
Really, really cool.